Now that we have selected and edited our images, we need to keyword them. Now, keywords are tags basically that are embedded onto your files in the IPTC data when you export that file. They must be separated by a comma, and all stock agencies will be able to read that IPTC data, meaning that you really only need to enter this keyword, this information once in your computer, and it gets read afterwards by all websites, so that you don't have to enter the keywords again for each website to upload to. So remember, ideally we have loads of websites to upload to. You don't want to be entering that information over and over again. Keywords can also be composite words, and in that case you simply do not include a comma in between the words, and that becomes a composite word. So you put the 2 or 3 words and so on, comma, and then the following one you have those 3 words as one keyword only. And keywords are definitely the most important stage in your image preparation stage. So through keywords, clients will find your images or not find them if their search terms don't include your keywords. So I cannot overstate how important they are. Being that the case, it's logical to think that the more keywords the image has, the more chances of it being found and licensed. This is the case indeed to an extent, but it's important to include as many relevant keywords as possible. If you add keywords that are not related to your image, which is known as keyword spamming, agencies might suspend your account, so be careful. Irrelevant keywords also include words that describe something that's not part of the main messaging of the image, even though it's there. For instance, if you have, say, a full length shot of a model, including words such as eyes or ears is likely to be irrelevant, unless there is something really particular that that model's eyes and ears are doing. So how many keywords should you enter? The maximum number of keywords accepted by stock agencies vary, but 30 should be a safe maximum. I recommend this total because whereas some agencies will accept more, the ones that don't will require that you remove excess keywords before they allow you to finish submitting your images, which would be done automatically on their submission page on their website, but just adds to your workflow, and it's time that you could be spending better basically. If you really must enter more keywords, I would stick to no more than 50. And in my opinion, it's going to be hard to keep all of the 50 relevant to your image. It's a lot of words. Some images will also need specific keywords. So for instance, when you upload composites or panoramas, you should include the words or the keywords composite or panorama. The reason for this is that panoramas usually generate a file that is larger than the maximum file size that your camera can generate. And as I have mentioned earlier, enlarging your files is not allowed by most agencies. When a panorama goes through inspections, the reviewer will see that it's larger than it should be, than the camera can generate, and they will assume that the image has been enlarged unless they see the keyword panorama. Another specific situation is when you are shooting illustrative editorial images. So if you remember, that means that you are photographing a product such as smartphone, which is copyrighted, but it's not in an editorial setting. So if you're shooting something like that, you must include the keywords illustrative and editorial, or illustrative editorial as a composite keywords. Otherwise, your image will be rejected. Keywording is a bit of an art in itself and takes time to refine. So with practice, the process of keywording becomes more fluid and fast. But if you're stuck with keywordings or keywording, I recommend that you do the following. First, start with the elements that are physically present in your image. So just look at your image and describe it. Second, describe the conceptual aspects, such as the general message or general mood that you're trying to convey, to communicate. And finally, third, describe the technique. So this could be along the lines of low angle, high key, motion blur, etc. But just make sure that you're using the right terminology for the technique you used to avoid keyword spamming. If you are still stuck, there are free tools online that help you keyword. And once again, I will recommend Yuri Arkur's. So he's got a very cool, nicely designed keyword tool, and you can find the link in the course notes. But basically what to do is you enter your own keywords in the search of that tool, and it finds other images in image banks with the same keywords. And then you select the images that are most relevant or that are most similar to yours, and click on the generate list, and then it gives you a list for you to copy and paste onto your own keywords, or to your own images rather. So let's go ahead and keywords my selected images here in Capture One, and then I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and keyword these images now. I have already selected them. I have edited them a little bit, just globally, I mean. There's still things to do. I cropped a little bit more of the images to get some of the polyboard out of it, or out of them rather, but there's still kind of pieces of the polyboard still visible in the image. What I'm going to do is, because it's just pure white or pure black, in fact, I will do this after you export them as JPEGs. Officially, if you are doing any skin retouching or anything like that, make sure you do it on the RAW or the TIFF, not on the JPEG. I explained the reason for that before in the studio. But because it's only polyboards on the edges of my frame, I can delete them later and just fill it with pure white, so it shouldn't be an issue at all. Right, but keywording. Now, the first thing I want to do is hide the tools that I don't need in my, my working space here, so I don't need to see the images very large anymore. I'm not checking for detail. So first thing I'll do is get rid of the viewer. So now I have only the thumbnails here. I can make them larger as well. Now, the way I do keywording as well, apart from checking for the physical aspects of the picture and so on, the thing I like to do first is select all the images that have something in common, that are going to share keywords, and then I can just add that keyword to the whole bunch rather than select each image one at a time. So the first thing I'll do here is select all of the images, and what do they have in common? First of all, they're all images of a model, so I include model here. They're all of a man. They're all also in a studio and isolated as well, so they're isolated on black, white or gray. And they're all of the images that I've selected, the model is wearing a coat, so coat. So forgot the comma there, make sure to include a comma for each keyword. Every once in a while I hit enter, and those keywords are converted to the keywords here in Capture One. Now what else? Maybe I can say cold, because it is a winter coat. Hood I can say, but see, there are 3 images here in which hood might not be too appropriate. In fact, I mean, I'll be able to get away with that because there is a hood in the coat. But still, it's not really part of the main message, so I prefer, if you're comfortable, not using hood at the moment, maybe later for the other images, but not for 1, 2, 3, there's 3 here, you see. They don't share that keyword. Now, they are also, let's just see what else we have. He's a kind of young model, really. He's kind of handsome. Sorry, typo there. Handsome man. He's a kind of adult, young adult, really. Another keyword's kind of 25 to 35. So it's just the range of keywords of age of my model. Hit enter again. There you go. Male. So you see, I'm just kind of putting all the keywords that all the images here they would share between themselves. What else? Code, temperature maybe. Season. I'm not showing the seasons here, but obviously you'd only wear a winter coat in the winter, so it's part of the conceptual message. And I'm not using my ordering as I taught you before, so I started with the what I can see really. Now I'm migrating already for towards the concept. Also, they are all portraits. I forgot that one, aren't they? So portraits, face, they are present in all of them. Now, do I want to enter eyes? Not really. I mean, maybe in this picture here, because the eyes are more prominent, but I'm not really focusing on the eyes only. It's more of an expression on the whole face. Now, let's just see what else I have. I think for generic keywords, I'm quite happy with those. So what I have here is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 keywords already, you see, so it goes very fast. Now let's see what else can I tell the client about these images. So maybe this selection here, all the images are isolated on white. Isolated on white. So I'm using a composite keyword as well as the word white. It's important as well, you see that I actually have isolated here, and then I have white here, and then I have isolated on white. So it's just kind of different combinations of these keywords. So I don't know what the clients are going to search for. It's good to have all possible combinations available there. One thing is plurals. Do I need to enter plurals? Mostly not. No, so most of the agencies will, their algorithm is already going to solve, identify singulars and plurals and bring both results to the results page when the client kind of searches for those keywords. So if you enter Shutterstock, for instance, you're going to remove the doubled words, as in repeated words, and if you enter the plural, say coat or coats, then Shutterstock is going to remove one of them. So I don't even bother anymore entering plurals. Some other websites I might be a bit funnier about it, but in this case I wouldn't enter now keywords plural. Cool, isolated on white, and now I'm migrating to the technique now. So what is this? It's this white images, they are high key because they are overwhelmingly white. Then I have bright as well, which is it's very bright. And what else? Oh, blah blah, portrait, face, model, blah blah. I think for now this is quite cool. I don't want to enter into the expressions yet because I want to find keywords that are similar. Maybe it's the time now to enter hood, but just not selecting these three images. So I just have the selection of the 22. And in fact, one I was not filming, but actually removed 2 more images that I felt were not strong enough. So now I have 25 instead of 27. Now, I've selected all the images in which the hood is featured. So now I have hood. Also maybe hoodie, why not? Here in the UK, hoodie, you have just kind of lighter jumpers with hoods. And hooded maybe. So just variations of the same thing, yeah? Now, cool. Okay, so now let's select the images with a black background, and how do they differ? What do they have in common, however, between themselves, but they differ from the white ones? Well, now they are low key because they are overwhelmingly dark. So low key, dark, black. In fact, black background is a good one. Black background. And now I'm going to go ahead actually and select the white ones again. I forgot to include white background. White background. There you go. And now select the black ones again. Isolated on black, of course. On black. I have entered isolated before, so I don't need to enter that before. I have entered black before, so that's fine. I have all possible combinations here. And I think that's quite all right. Now I have the gray one, so now I just enter isolated on gray, then just the word gray. I also want to use, in regards to American or British spelling, it's a very good idea to use both. Some websites are going to recognize or identify that these images are British or US spelling and bring the results for both of them, but some websites won't. So I prefer to actually have both British and the American spelling. So isolated on gray with A. Okay. Okay, right. So now the last thing that I have to do, I have entered everything that came to mind in regards to physical aspects of the image, about also the conceptual use of the image, and now expressions maybe. I need to talk about those kind of suspicious, dark. This one here, maybe anonymous, just for that one, because if you remember, it's a really, really dark image. So just double click here. See, really dark, and I have to remove that background, but you see I don't actually see who this person is. Quite cool. I love this image actually. It's really, really cool. Maybe just make it just a bit more brightness there. Good. Cool. So let's go back to the keywording area. I'm not going to get into what each of these panels do because it's a stock course, not a capture one. I'll leave you to find out yourself. And also in Lightroom is the keyword panel is a similar place too. Now don't need the viewer anymore. There you go. So now maybe anonymous. One thing that I forgot to do, which is always good to do, is go to the edit menu and check spelling while typing. Because if something goes wrong here, it just underlines it with red. And in fact, it's something I really should have done before, because if there's anything wrong here now, and I upload to a website, then I'll have to change that one word several times in several websites. So when I export the images here, I'll be copying the keywords here and posting them to Word. and seeing if there's anything misspelled. So anonymous. Cool. And in fact here I will probably use suspicious for that one as well. Suspicious. Now let's just see. Now this image is that my model, in which my model is not really looking at the camera. I think there's something quite cool going on. It's almost like he's lost in thought. So let's just, not those ones, but you see when you're looking just ahead and your eyes down, just usually implies that you're lost in thought. So let's just see if I have any more images that's similar to those. Like, no, yeah, those, you see? There. So let's just identify those images in which my model is not looking at the camera and make this larger so it's easier for us to see what's going on here. So let's select this here, also this, that, and this, also maybe this. Lost in thought. Pensive as well. Pensive is a funny one. It's not really. I'm trying to keep it as, I don't want to enter words that are not very easily input by clients, you see. But I think pensive is quite a nice one. Just describes it very well. So I want to use words that are simple as well. I don't want to go into very complicated words. So because clients are more likely to look for kind of simple, look for simple keywords rather than very complex ones. Right, so I've got the pensive ones, I've got suspicious, and in fact this is suspicious as well, maybe. That, this. Now Capture One also gives me this minus assigns. If there is a keyword that's shared by, that's only present in one image but not in the others, tells me with a minus sign that not all images have that keyword assigned to them. So let's just find suspicious here, and I want that keyword to be assigned to all of them. So just click on the minus, and now the keyword belongs or is associated to all of the images. Cool. So that's done. I think I'm quite happy with this. Stare maybe. Maybe stare is shared by all of them. Stare. And some of them look quite fashion. So maybe like this. Fashion. And fashion. There you go. And as you can see, this is quite subjective as well. I mean, some people will look at this as fashion, really. But I think some people actually might look for those and say, well, I'm looking for fashion. You never know. So let's just add those. Right. So I think at this stage I would have finished keywording. So just go ahead and, in fact, I won't export these images now, but what I'll do, and I won't film it, is just I'll check the spelling by exporting one of these, or these images, export them, select all the keywords and put them into Word, because in Capture One I actually cannot select these images now. I can export them as a list and so on, but it's not really the same. So what I'll do this now, and I have to say Lightroom actually is better when it comes to keywording. But anyway, so I'll do this. I don't think it's necessary to film it. But what you want to do is before you start keywording, go to the keywording field, and the keyword field here, click on it, and then go to edit here, and then go to spelling and check spelling while typing. In the case here, it's already selected. That's why it's grayed out. Now the next step is going to be captions. So I'll just discuss it a little bit, and then we'll come back to this in a moment.